Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, we talk so much about finding the right meal plan or the right workout for our goals. And in my opinion, none of that matters if you don't have a couple of things in place first. I believe that there are two specific character traits that have served me well in my fitness journey. And I want to share how I've developed those character traits with you today. And for those who don't know who I am, my name is Luke Briggs. I'm the owner of the Total Life Fitness Academy. We specialize in helping parents and busy professionals lose body fat, build muscle, and have more energy. I've been a coach for over 10 years, and I've worked with nearly 3,000 clients. So I believe that there are two soft skills that I like to call them that have helped me stay ripped as a parent and as a business owner. And they are focus and discipline. There are tons of different diets out there, tons of different workouts out there. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't have the character traits to execute on those skills, then you're not going to be able to achieve the results with your body that you want. So I used to be a very undisciplined and unfocused person. And to this day, obviously, there are still things that I can improve on because it's not an all or nothing thing. Like you're either focused or you're not focused. You're either disciplined or you're not disciplined. It's how focused are you? How disciplined are you? Maybe right now you're a 1 or 2 out of 10 in terms of your focus, and you want to get more to like a 6 or 7 out of 10 in terms of your focus, right? So it's just making incremental improvements. So my story is, I used to be just very unfocused. I would try to do too many things at once and then end up not being very successful at any of them. I was a notorious program hopper. So when I was in my early 20s, I had been lifting for a few years at this point in college, and I just kept doing the same routine all the time. I would never really get that great of results. And I thought it was like a sign of weakness to ask for help or seek out mentorship of any kind because I'm just like, I should be able to figure this out myself. I don't need to ask for help. That's a sign of weakness. I'm going to be a pansy then, whatever. So finally, I remember it was in January of 2011. I went and I started actually searching for things. So I actually like looked up, Google search how to build muscle. And I discovered all these different websites and all these different blogs. And I'm like, holy cow, I didn't even know these things existed. There are people out there who actually help you with fitness and help you with building muscle. Holy cow. I remember I found muscleandstrength.com as like one of the first ones I went to. And I would search for all these workouts, and they had so many different workouts on there. And I'm just like, this one looks good. So I just picked one. I started with it for a couple weeks, but then I kept looking at all these other different workouts. And I'm like, actually, this one looks better. Let me do this one. I would do that one for a couple weeks. Then I would search for, all these blogs of all these people I was following who were, super ripped and fit. And I'm like, okay, I got to try this guy's workout now. I have to try this person's workout now. And I do them all for like a couple weeks. And I never really get that great a result. And I was always wondering why. And I remember like there was this guy at my gym who was like way more like built and ripped than I was. And I'm like, I feel like I'm trying harder than you. Like, why are you getting such good results? And it was basically just came down to the fact that he was just sticking with one thing. So this is how unfocused I was. I remember, and this was actually before I had started looking all this stuff up, but at one point in college, I wanted to improve like several things at once. So I was fairly like athletic growing up, kind of like an average athlete, but I played soccer, basketball, and baseball in high school. And then in college, I just played like intramural sports and just kind of did things on my own. I would lift and do other activities. And I would play basketball a lot. And I remember there was this guy who could dunk, and he told me that he improved his ability to dunk because he did this certain jumping program. So he showed me what the jumping program is. And at one point, I was doing this jumping program. I think it was 4 times a week. I was lifting 4 times a week. I was running on my off days because I remember that I overheard someone talking to someone else and was like, "Oh, I've now worked out for all these days straight because I'm running all these days." And I'm like, "Oh crap, I can't be a pansy. I got to make sure I'm working out every day." So I ran on my off days, and then I also played basketball 3 times a week. So interesting story. In college, I couple of semesters only signed up for classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays because Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there was this 11 a.m. basketball league at the YMCA that I wanted to play in. Granted, I wasn't that great of a player, but I just really liked to play in it. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't have classes on those days so that I could actually go and attend this basketball thing every single week and every single day, because I like to be in the gym for like, I'd play basketball for 2 hours and I'd lift for 2 hours. And I'm like, I don't want anything that throws off my schedule. So I would play basketball 3 times a week, and then I would play disc golf with my cousin like once or twice a week. I mean, I was trying to jump higher, build muscle, get stronger, improve my endurance, and improve my performance all at the same time. I was trying to improve a lot of different qualities at once. And after doing this for a while, like I was literally some days like working out like 3 times a day. I kid you not, like 4 to 6 hours a day. Like it was ridiculous. And I realized after a while, I'm like, I'm not getting better at any of these things. I'm still not jumping as high as I want to. I'm still not getting stronger. I'm still not building muscle. Like, what gives? I feel like I'm trying so hard. But the fact of the matter is, I was so worried about what everyone else was doing. And I thought there was some magical program out there that would just help me. It would help me get ripped. And it was the same thing with my nutrition. I would try all these different nutrition programs, nutrition protocols. Like I remember I did intermittent fasting once for 17 days. So when I was working full time, I was working 8 to 4:30, and I would always work 8 to 4. And because I had a 30-minute lunch, but I didn't want to take the lunch because at this time I was interning at a gym and I wanted to get to that gym as quickly as possible so I could stop answering phone calls for the customer service job that I was doing and get to the gym at night so I could just start that because I just was in love with fitness. So I did intermittent fasting for like a couple weeks, and then I quickly realized this doesn't really work for my schedule because I'm at the gym at night and I was like trying to be a trainer on the floor and eat like multiple meals. So that didn't go over too well. When I was 24 years old, I remember I signed up for this year-long nutrition program, and I did it for a couple weeks. And then I got distracted, and then I started something else. And I just got embarrassed and I stopped the program. I remember like my coach reached out to me and I didn't reach back out to him because I was just embarrassed. I'm like, I'm a trainer at this point. Like, how can I not figure this out? I mean, I fell victim to all the different marketing and tactics and strategies other people were promoting. I would search for different calorie intakes online, like different people would say different things. I would find one person telling me one thing, then I'd find another person telling me something completely different. And it just finally got to the point where I remember in late 2015, I was just done with it. I was just tired. I'm like, gosh, I've been trying so hard for so many years. And I mean, for all the effort I'm putting in, I should be getting such better results. And I finally decided, okay, in 2016, I'm going to train for a bodybuilding show. And I didn't even think that was possible, to be honest, at that point to achieve that kind of look. I'm just like, I'll somehow figure it out. And for the first several months of the year, I remember from like January till April, I just tried to do it on my own. I remember I had like a friend who said he'd help me out a little bit. And, he did, but I was just like, I wasn't getting any results. I was like a couple months in and I'm like, gosh, I got to do something. So there was this other personal trainer at another gym that I went to. I was working at a gym, but there was another gym that I went to work out. So there was this other personal trainer there who was like advertising that, he was helping people do photo shoots, do bodybuilding shows, and he was very, built himself. And I'm like, okay, why don't I try hiring this guy? So I decided that I'm going to hire him. And for the first time, I actually had focus. And I got better results in literally 5 months working with that coach than I had the previous 9 years doing it on my own, because I learned the skill of focus. Like I just put trust in what he told me to do and I just followed it. And I didn't deviate. I didn't go look up all this other stuff. I just trusted the process and I got great results. That really taught me how important focus is. And even to this day, I still get distracted. Like I said, I'm not like a 10 out of 10 focus. Like I'm always working on striving closer to that. But it's just a matter of picking something. Like a lot of things work, but just pick something and do it. So for me, discipline was another thing that I struggled with. lifting, like weightlifting, I would constantly miss workouts. Like when I was in high school, I would go in spurts. I played sports, but I saw and I knew that I probably should lift, but I'd maybe during the summer, I'd go with some friends to the gym. Our parents would take us there for like the summer program that we had at the high school. I'd lift weights, but then, I didn't really do anything other times of the year. I just like practice the sports, go home, not really do anything else. And I would really always go in spurts. Even in college, I would go in spurts. Like I would work out if I felt like it, but there, if there was a Brewers game that night and I wanted to watch it, hey, I got to skip the gym for today. I would only do things that I liked doing as well. So to be honest, like I grew up pretty undisciplined in all areas of my life. I always thought that I was pretty smart growing up. So I really wouldn't try very hard in class. Like I was that kid where like I won my fourth grade spelling bee. I remember I qualified for spelling, the spelling bee regionals or whatever when I was in eighth grade. Like I was always in the 2-year accelerated math classes. I remember like even when I was in literally, I think it was third grade, we would have these things called mad minutes where you'd have like, 40 multiplication questions, 40, subtraction questions, like 40 division questions. And the teachers gave us like 3 minutes to do them. And if you were in the 2-minute club, like they had these kids who were in like the 2-minute club, and I would literally do it in like 45 to 60 seconds. Like I would finish them really fast. I'd always get 100% on all of them. So I was just always told like, you're very smart. And I just thought I was naturally smart. So thus I wouldn't study for tests. And it just translated into other areas of my life as well. Like I didn't practice additionally at sports. Like I would never go the extra mile at work. I was just at the bare minimum that was required for everything. As I said, even in sports, like I would never practice in the off season. I just thought, hey, I'm naturally athletic. I'll just figure it out. And I was always wondering why other people were playing over me. And frankly, it's because they were working harder. I just really didn't understand work ethic because, again, I was just naturally somewhat athletic and fairly intelligent. So I didn't really need to work that hard to get decent grades in school or at least do somewhat decently in sports. When I got to the real world, though, I quickly realized that I was going nowhere fast. I really didn't love the way that my life was going and how I was just settling for things. My degree is in journalism because I wanted to be a sports writer for a newspaper, covering, college or professional sports. And I remember like when I was graduating college, I was like almost depressed because I remember I was like looking at jobs and, the job at the time I was working at, my pay was frozen at $7.96 an hour. And, the outlook of the newspaper industry was so bleak. I mean, I was literally looking at jobs. I remember, in like, I would have to move. I'm in Wisconsin. I would have to move to like South Dakota, some town in South Dakota covering high school sports and even like middle school sports, making like $22,000 a year, working nights and weekends. And I'm like, gosh, this sounds awful. I was just weaker growing up. Like I was unconfident. I was scared to death to talk to girls. I've talked about it before that I never went on my first date until I was 26 years old, which is pretty much unheard of with most people, but I was literally that unconfident with myself. Again, I just didn't realize it was possible to change. I just thought that's just who I was. That's just the way I was. And I didn't realize that you could change with hard work. Then eventually, like, I just didn't like the way things were going for me so much. I was just willing to do what it took. If I think back now, I remember I was playing basketball and some guy like commented on how I was like so like, I was getting pushed around or lost a game one time. And he was like, you need to go eat a bunch of protein and eat a bunch of weights, because you're skinny or something like that. And it just really, really threw me for a loop. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this. So I just decided I got to do what it takes. I started studying the habits of other successful people. I remember I used to think it was a cop out for asking for help. I should just be able to figure this out myself. Then I realized that successful people admitted that they needed help all the time and spent all this time studying. I remember when I first started following blogs, one of the people who I followed, one of the other, trainers, fitness coaches, talked about how he studied an hour a day and, talked about how if you do that for years, like it'll put you at the top of the industry. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. Studying was just completely new to me at that point because I hadn't really done it. Like I never studied for tests. I never studied for quizzes. I thought that it would be more impressive if I was able to do well in the test and I could say, and I didn't even study. And that way I also had a built-in excuse that, hey, I didn't study, that's why I didn't do well, right? I was really just scared to take risks and take chances. So the lesson was that I learned that discipline was really forcing myself to do things even if I didn't feel like doing them. And I've learned that success in anything really isn't rocket science. It's just showing up and doing what's required each day. I mean, to be transparent, like this podcast right now, like I kind of like wing this last minute as well, but I'm like, I got to get a podcast out for today, for this week. I made a commitment to myself that I'm going to do a solo podcast every single week. So I need to get this out. It's just showing up and doing what's required each day. I get up each morning, Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. I literally can't tell you the last time I felt like getting up. Like this is coming from a guy who, when I was like in college and in my early to mid 20s, like I would wake up at like 10 a.m. I would stay up till like 2:30, 3 a.m. in the morning for literally no reason. Like I always considered myself not a morning person, but I just do it anyways because that's just who I am. I've made a commitment to do that, so I follow through on it. I'm also training for a photo shoot right now that I'm getting very close to, depending on when you're listening to this. I've been doing an ab circuit every single day. So I remember I wanted to start training my abs, and I found this like YouTube video that's like get abs in 22 days. And hey, I still fall for marketing messages as well, but no, it seemed like a decent program. So I've been doing an ab circuit every day for the last few weeks. I committed to myself that I'm going to do it every day leading up to my photo shoot. And I literally never feel like doing it. I always just want to like move on to something else. Like there have been days, like I pair it right now around my workout. So I do it before my workout 4 days a week. And then on the other 3 days, I just make sure that I do it throughout the day. Like literally on Saturdays and Sundays, I've been doing it at like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And by that point of the day, like tired, exhausted, I don't feel like doing it, but I just force myself to anyways. There are some days where I literally have to like stop myself from working so that I'll work out because I frankly don't feel like working out all that often. I just do it anyways. Like I'm not what, a lot of people think, oh, Luke, you're a personal trainer, you're a fitness coach. Like working out is easy for you. Heck, it's not. Like I'll be transparent. Like there's so many days where I just don't feel like working out, but I just make myself do it because that's the commitment that I've made to myself. Again, I'm not perfect. I have plenty of things that I can improve, but these are just some examples. So what you might be wondering is, well, how do I choose what to focus on? So what I want you to do is I want you to write down all the things that you could choose to be your focus. Let's start with our fitness. So what do you want to accomplish in fitness? Do you want to be a faster runner? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to be better at a sport? Do you want to build more muscle? Now, if you don't know which of those things to do, think of it this way. Which of these things would frustrate you the most if you didn't achieve it? Which of these things would frustrate you the most if you did not achieve it? And for me, it was transforming my body. So I kind of gave the example earlier where I was doing all those things at once. I was doing like a jumping program, endurance, basketball. And in reality, I really wanted to change my body. So what you need to do is you need to focus all of your efforts on that one thing and just accept that you will not be optimizing the other areas. If you try to do 4 things at once, you're going to get subpar results in all of them rather than really good results in one of them. So LeBron James has focused on just becoming better at basketball. He's obsessed. Like he was an all-American football player in high school as well. He probably could have gone both ways, but he chose to focus on basketball. Serena Williams has focused just on becoming a better tennis player. She's obsessed with it. Now imagine if Serena Williams had tried to become a better basketball player, get ripped for a figure competition. Maybe she spent an hour each day playing soccer. Do you think she'd be one of the greatest tennis players of all time? No one would even know who she is. She'd be subpar at everything. And if you still don't know what you want to focus on, just pick something. Pick anything. Everyone is so afraid of being wrong and wasting time and effort realizing that they picked the wrong thing. But it doesn't matter. Are you really going to wait another 6 months because you're not sure what to focus on because you're waiting for the right time? Probably so many of you listening to this right now have wanted to lose weight or build muscle or work on your fitness for months or even years, and you haven't started because you're waiting for the perfect protocol. Because you see one program, you're like, oh, maybe I'm going to wait for the next program. Just start. Just do something. If you don't do something now, do you really want to be in the same place you're at right now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now? Frustrated because you're not getting the results you want? Just pick something. You may decide 3 months in that you don't like it, you want to do something else, but then it was just a lesson because you learned what you don't want to focus on. You can either do nothing for the next 3 months, or you can do something for the next 3 months and learn whether or not you like it. So the next question you have probably is, well, now that I've picked my focus, and for the sake of this episode, let's say it's fat loss, you're probably wondering, well, how do I know which program to follow? There are so many darn programs out there. So remember this, many programs work. A lot of different programs work. There are tons and tons of different programs out there that'll work for you to lose body fat. But you need to choose one. You need to choose one program. Because if you try to do all of them at once, you're not going to get very good results. Obviously, you can hire us and we can coach you to get there. In reality, you've probably looked at a lot of different programs. So just pick the one you think has the greatest chance of success for you. So, for example, if you love breakfast, don't pick intermittent fasting. If you love carbs, don't follow a low carb approach. Pick something that you think has the greatest likelihood of success that you'll actually follow through with it. I would also pick something that I know that lots of other people have had success with. So if I see someone promoting a program, but they're only sharing the results that they personally have gotten, and they don't share results that anyone else has gotten from it, I'd be a little leery of it just because there's not as much evidence to support that it works. So just pick something, do it, and then you'll get feedback on it. Now, the next thing I want to go through is how do you become more disciplined? The first thing you need to do is you need to stop telling yourself that you're not disciplined. I see all the time negative self-talk from people. They say, I'm not disciplined. I always fail at diets. I always start and stop. Stop saying that to yourself. You are putting that in your brain that that is the type of person who you are. You can change your identity at any point, but you need to prove it to yourself with evidence. Affirmations in the mirror are not going to work. You need to prove it to yourself that you are a different type of person than you believe who you are right now. So if you don't believe that you're disciplined right now, don't say that to yourself. Say instead, I'm working on improving my discipline. I'm becoming disciplined. Because you are. That's the fact of the matter, is you are working towards something. So how do you become more disciplined? You make a promise, keep a promise. If you tell yourself you're going to take a 3-minute shower, don't take a 5-minute shower. If you tell yourself you're going to get up and make your bed, make your darn bed. Don't skip it. If you tell yourself you're going to be on time, don't be late. Right? Now, we're going to talk about it in terms of workouts. So if you aren't working out currently and you want to develop the habit of working out, just as a simple example, many of you listening might be working out, but this is a simple example to understand. So if you're not currently working out, you're not just all of a sudden going to believe that you're a workout person. You need to work out one time. That's evidence that, hey, I can work out. Then you work out the second day. Okay, I just worked out 2 days in a row. and then you do it a third day. So the thing that you have to remember is there might be some days out there, and there will be many days, probably some days where you don't execute. And then you could choose to just fall off and say, oh, well, this always happens. I missed a day. I missed a second day. Screw it. I'm not going to continue. That's not how it works. It's trends over a long period of time. So let's say there are 100 days and you work out 84 out of 100 days. You still missed 16 days, but you still worked out 84% of the time. Do you think after 100 days and you worked out 84 of those days, even though you missed 16 of the days, do you think that you are more likely to believe that you are a workout person than not? Now, if it's the other direction where you only worked out 16 days out of 100, you might believe, well, maybe I'm not a workout person. But over a long enough time horizon, you can prove to yourself that you are disciplined by just following through more often than not. That's more votes for a disciplined person than it is for an undisciplined person. Just a matter of proving to yourself with evidence that you are a disciplined person. So that's just what's worked for me. A couple of character traits that I've developed over the years that I believe are the foundation of what you need to build in order to be successful with a fitness and nutrition plan. If you don't have discipline or focus, or you're very low on those character traits right now, those are things that you can improve, but you need to commit to and decide to work on them. And it takes time, and you're never going to be perfect, but you can always just work toward improving them. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you've listened all the way to the end, that must mean you at least like it somewhat. So I would love, love, love for you to leave a 5-star rating and review on this podcast. Just go to our page if you're listening on Apple iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to it. Just go to the show page, hit 5-star review, write a review. It should take no more than 30 seconds. And I would be deeply appreciative because that helps us grow and reach more people. So until next time, we'll chat soon.